Well, hi everyone, my name is Kayla Smith, and over the summer I was a research assistant for the St. Kitts Sea Turtle Monitoring Network. So the Sea Turtle Monitoring Network was founded in 2003 by Dr. Kimberly Stewart, and the primary objective is to monitor sea turtle populations in and around St. Kitts. So just for reference, St. Kitts is in the West Indies. It's one of the Eastern Caribbean islands. So the three main types of sea turtles in St. Kitts are the green sea turtle, which is this picture, the leatherback sea turtle, and the hawksbill sea turtle. So the projects of the network include morning and night patrol surveying of the nesting turtles, which are all three of these species. So the nightly surveying was primarily for leatherback sea turtles, and then morning surveying for green and hawksbill. Also in-water surveying for sea turtles. The hawksbill and the green use St. Kitts as foraging grounds, so the seagrass beds are where the green sea turtles are found, and the coral reefs are usually where the hawksbills are found, just because of their diet. So we actually go in the water, catch the turtles, and then bring them out, and we're able to tag them, draw blood, things like that. And also surveying of hatch success by means of excavation, so every nest that's marked on the island is excavated, and we're able to identify the nest-specific hatch success and also hatch success of all of the nests on the island. Another really big part of the network is advocating for sea turtle populations on the island. So St. Kitts is an independent nation, and even though every type of sea turtle is listed on the IUCN Red List, St. Kitts still has an open sea turtle harvest season. So during a part of the year, you're able to go and harvest a sea turtle, even though some of them are considered endangered. So Dr. Stewart, one of the main things that she does is work with the fisheries department and the government to get those laws changed. Also, annual sea turtle camp. So the past 7 years, the monitoring network has put on sea turtle camp for the local primary school children. And then one that isn't as frequent as the nesting or the sea turtle monitoring is shorebird nest monitoring. So we'll walk the beaches and look for least tern and Wilson's plover's nests. So while I was on the island, my daily tasks and activities included nightly patrol, which began at 8 p.m. and ended at 4 a.m. So we go out and walk the beaches and look for nesting leatherback sea turtles. And since that is the primary focus of the network, there is nightly patrols for leatherback sea turtles, but we just walk the beach in the morning to look for the green and the hawksbill sea turtle nests. So usually if a leatherback is on the beach, we see it. It's huge. They're about 6 feet long. So when we see that turtle, we're going to tag it, flipper tags in the rear, and then a microchip in the right shoulder. We'll also take measurements, so curved carapace length and carapace width, and then we'll also take information on the nests, so the nest depth, the conductivity, and the pH. So we'll gauge if the sea turtle is laying a nest in the proper location. So sometimes they lay nests in areas that aren't as advantageous as they should be. So when that happens, we're going to relocate the nest, which is Dr. Stewart and I are relocating a nest in that top right picture. And they're all red because it's nighttime and you can't use white light, otherwise it disturbs the sea turtles. So we'll usually move it to the same, it'll be an area on the same beach, but it'll be either higher up or out of the vegetation, just depends on the situation. So every nest that's monitored or marked, like I said, is excavated. So that was a really big role towards the end of my internship. So after the incubation period ends, we're going to dig up all the eggs, and we look at how many hatched, how many didn't, and we also sometimes find stragglers in the bottom of the nest, which is this bottom left picture. It's kind of dark. I don't know if you can see it, but we actually found that hatchling in the bottom of the nest, so we were able to take it and release it at night, which was one of the coolest parts of the internship. So data entry was a huge part. Every day after patrols and after excavations, I was putting all of the data into a central spreadsheet, so that was one of the big parts. And then Sea Turtle Camp was so much fun. It was the last 2 weeks of my internship, So like I said, the primary school children are invited to come out for, I think it's like $10, and we just give them like educational like opportunities just to learn about sea turtle ecology and just general knowledge, and also like do craft activities. It's really fun. And this picture is me and a leatherback track. So I was telling you they're about 6 foot. So I could lay across that and still not cover it all. So it kind of just goes up. So even if we don't see the actual turtle laying the nest, we know it was there. Contributions to the work environment. So just generally a positive attitude. When your team has to come out at 8 p.m. and they don't get to leave until 4 a.m., sometimes they get a little grumpy. But as long as you have a good attitude, it kind of like is infectious with other people. I had people comment on like, what are you on? Like, why are you laughing so much? Like, it was crazy. But just having a lot of fun. Being independent was a huge part. So my boss was faculty at Ross University, which is on the island. She also like is head of an NGO, so she kind of expected me to be in charge of the night patrols and just kind of leading general activities without having to rely on her so much as to tell me exactly what she needed me to do. And then past experience was a huge contribution. So having experience with tagging turtles and doing biopsies and just knowing general sea turtle knowledge just from experiences that I've had in the past with internships with sea turtles. So having that knowledge already kind of gave me a heads up like once I got there, because Dr. Stewart didn't have time to tell me all of that information, so it was good that I already had it. And then experience with field work, just being in the field. We walked the beach every night, so it was about 4 miles a night, 6 nights a week, and we slept in trash bags on the beach. So just having like field work was a good thing to have before I came. And thanks to Warnell, just an introductory knowledge of wildlife, like taking vertebrate natural history definitely helped me with just knowledge of like reptiles in general. I do think that Warnell, if they had more of a marine biology side of things rather than just terrestrial and freshwater, would be helpful. But I don't think that it put me back any to not have that information. I did have information on that I could rely off of for terrestrial and freshwater ecosystems. Experience with inclement weather during field work was a huge contribution from Warnell. So having labs in the snow and having labs in the rain helped when you were sleeping in a trash bag while it's been raining for an hour and a half on the beach. So definitely helpful. And also just scholarship. So I was able to receive the Forestry Alumni Scholarship, which allowed me to travel to St. Kitts. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to do that. And networking opportunities, so putting me in contact with Dr. Stewart. My faculty advisor actually gave me her information, which is Dr. Nairn. But otherwise, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to do that. And these are kind of just some pictures. I was able to do some really cool stuff in St. Kitts, like hike the rainforest and then like snorkel with sea turtles. This is a hawksbill sea turtle. I took a selfie with it. And so this is actually one of the really cool opportunities I got to do. This is the National Geographic crew. So they actually came down to St. Kitts to do critter cam on leatherback sea turtles. So I got to put a critter cam on a sea turtle. It's really cool. And I actually got to go out with the Coast Guard and the crew, the National Geographic crew, to retrieve those critter cams. So that was fun. It was really rough that day, but it was really fun. So otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to have these opportunities, and it was an awesome experience. But do you guys have any questions? Yes.
Do the locals like seek out turtles to eat, and that's why they have like a really open season?
Yeah, so the locals are big like proponents of the open harvest. So actually one of the guys I worked with, his name's Theophilus Taylor, he's about 80 years old, and before he started working for the network, he harvested sea turtles. So he'd bring in like around 20 for the season, which was a really high amount. And for the hawksbills, they eat the meat. The greens, they even like grind up the shell. They will eat literally every part of that sea turtle. And then leatherbacks, they harvest to use like the fat in their bodies. Apparently it fights heart disease. To them, they believe it, so they do it. So yeah, that's why there's an open season, and that's why it's so hard for the laws to change, is because the locals are so used to it. I think they're one of 7 countries that still has an open harvest for sea turtles. So.
That's fascinating. So when you say open harvest?
Oh, I'm sorry, open season.
Oh, right.
Open, yes. So they can take as many. There's not a limit on how many they can take, but it's a certain amount of months that they can take it out of. So it's not the nesting season. Usually, it's after that.
So could you relate that to, you said that one of the coolest things you got to do was to teach the camp, the sea turtle camp.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think the value of that camp is in relationship to the fact that there is harvest?
I think definitely teaching kids early on about the importance of sea turtles was a really major part. So actually, some of the kids come back year after year to do sea turtle camp, and St. Kitts is during their summer period, kids have to be in camp. Like, their parents will not have them at home. It's not a thing. So like, they have the opportunity to go to tennis camp or soccer camp, but the fact that their parents keep sending them to sea turtle camp must mean that they really enjoy it. So having them get that knowledge and just an appreciation for wildlife that early on, I think really helps for in the future when they are trying to get those laws changed.
So one quick follow-up on that.
Yes.
Let's be honest about this. For people that might be at home watching it on television,
Mm-hmm.
to find out that people actually kill and eat sea turtles, there are a lot of people on this planet that will be horrified by that. They
Mm-hmm.
just think that is the worst thing in the world, and that it's just wrong. How would you respond to somebody with that attitude?
There's a really popular part of the island. It's called the Strip, and it's just a bunch of beach bars. We actually got a call from one of the managers, and she was like, "I have a leatherback in front of my bar. Can you come?" So we were on patrol, so we had to drive across the island. And I started. There were so many people, and you have to just tell them to back up, keep their space. And as I was going to talk to the managers of all the bars, so I could say, if this turtle comes back, can you call me? One of them was like, if it comes back, I'm going to eat it. So at that point, you kind of just have to be understanding, because that's their culture. So just saying okay, well, I would like you to call me if it does. They are an endangered species, and they have a really big, important ecological role. So it's important that you don't eat the sea turtles, but I can't really do anything as far further than that, other than just educate them. Okay.